All right, I'd like to call to order the regular city council meeting. Today is Tuesday, May 13, 2025. The time is about 7:05 now. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silent meditation. One nation, liberty. Okay, first item was roll call.
Mayor Scott Nickel.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Frank Gerton.
Here.
Councilmember Adam Dyer.
Here.
Councilmember Susan Romey.
Here.
Councilmember David Nutt.
Here. Okay, and moving on to additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda, if any. Does anyone on council see anything that needs to change or be added? Hearing none, we'll move on to presentations, proclamations, and introductions. First one is the Memorial Day proclamation. I understand that there is nobody here to represent that, so I will sign the proclamation and we will make sure we get it to the appropriate person. The second item is 2025 Employee of the Year presentation. City Manager Coffey.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. As is my custom, I'm going down to the podium to make the presentation. Mayor, council members, residents here and gathered at home. This is definitely my favorite night of the year because we recognize one of our city employees. And historically, my predecessor, Mr. Ryan, started a tradition of soliciting input from other employees. And that is something I continued and I will continue in the future. But this year, I paused that tradition because the individual we honor tonight has gone so far and above beyond. It was not fair to go through the process. Chief Lewis, come on up. I had two years. When the city set out to hire its first paid fire chief, we needed an experienced professional leader for our department. What we got in Fire Chief David Lewis far exceeded that threshold. On the day of his on-site interview, the more time I spent with him, the more I knew the city had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to not only bring the needed change to our fire department to address the challenges before us, but also a team-oriented public servant who would make every person he interacted with better. I asked a couple of my teammates to give me their perspective of Chief Lewis, and this is what they wrote. The first person wrote, "In his short time with the city, Chief Lewis has quickly established himself as a team player who is easy to work with and highly experienced in all things EMS and fire related. He's willing to share his knowledge and experience, as was evident in his willingness to update all police officers on emergency medical first aid and the use of Narcan training. He is also willing to get his hands dirty fighting fires along with his team. Chief Lewis has fit in well and is a valuable member of the Indian Harbor Beach team. He has enhanced the overall public safety of our community." The next person wrote, "First, and probably what really stands out, is what Chief Lewis undertook in the city's transition from a 100% volunteer department to our hybrid department of today. He immediately came in as a positive leader. Firefighters speak highly of him and talk about the positive changes he's made in a short time. That alone speaks volumes of the culture he has built in the fire department in such a short time. Additionally, Chief Lewis has been community-driven from the day he started. He leads the city's safety committee, works on ways to improve first response through computer-aided dispatch implementation ideas, and provides other first responders officers with valuable information on fire calls and procedures. Chief Lewis was also an immediate friend and gave people throughout the city professional guidance. He leads by example and shines as a person that I look up to due to his unselfish dedication, leadership, and qualities he carries with him every single day. Last but not least, his wife Maggie makes the best banana bread ever. In conclusion, I count every day a blessing I have to work with Chief Lewis. There is no ego, no self-centeredness, no vanity, no prideful purpose in him. Chief Lewis is the embodiment of what it means to be a public servant with a heart for others and a desire to serve his community, staff, and teammates. He does not avoid difficulties and is quick to take responsibilities for those rare times things do not go right. He is a role model that I and every other city employee should emulate. Please join me in congratulating Chief David Lewis as our 2025 Employee of the Year. First, it's tradition you say a few words.
Boy, it's not often that I'm at a loss for words, but tonight's one of those nights. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I wish I would have found this community, this job, and these coworkers 10 years ago. I enjoy being here, and I appreciate the recognition. Thank you very much.
Chief, you just got to stay 10 years longer.
Okay, next is approval of minutes. The first one being the approval of the workshop minutes from April 22nd, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Gerton, second by Councilmember Nutt. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Next is approval of the regular city council meeting minutes from April 22nd, 2025. Would entertain a motion.
I make. Go ahead, Frank.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Gerton, second by Councilmember Dyer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. On to reports, starting with the city manager's report. City Manager Coffey.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The City Hall Baffle Box Construction Services RFP, unfortunately, the deadline was extended one more time. Finally, all the answers have been provided by the design team. The deadline is May 23rd, and on May 27th, the proposals will be opened. Update on Algonquin project. The general contractor began work on May 5th. I'm going to flip over real quick to show a big picture of the site largely cleared. The contractor is currently working on hauling off the vegetative debris with grading continuing. Last week I met with Satellite Beach officials regarding the proposed pedestrian and bicyclist access points in the northeast and northwest corners. They were very receptive to the proposal. I will be having some civil engineering review done to refine cost estimates and conceptual site plans for the paths. And lastly, next month, Public Works staff will start engaging with adjacent property owners to the east and south sides of the expansion project to seek their input regarding desired levels of landscaping buffers and answer any questions they may have about the project. Police Department recently conducted another pedestrian crosswalk enforcement detail. in partnership with Best Foot Forward. That detail was completed on Friday, May 2nd, with the following statistics that I will not read for you. The police accreditation process continues smoothly. Chief Butler reports the mock assessment is complete, with everyone very pleased at the compliance and the building and the staff. We anticipate the final assessment in July going smoothly. Update about the Yuma and Osceola sidewalk capacity improvement projects. Today, the advisory committee for the South Beaches Benefit District, which is basically Satellite, us, Indian Atlantic, and Mel Beach, with the Brevard County Public Works Director, met and approved a motion to recommend that the Board of County Commissioners at one of their July meetings approve the dispersal of our transportation impact fees for the project. Police officer supplemental pension plan actuarial evaluation reports for the last 3 fiscal years are attached. My apologies of not getting the 2 prior years to you sooner. The legislative session update. Technically, the last day was supposed to be May 2nd, and now continuing resolutions have extended the session to possibly June 30th, but limits on future legislation deals exclusively with the General Appropriations Act and bills necessary to implement the budget. The legislative tracker is attached and will be provided at future meetings through final signing decisions by Governor DeSantis. Employee recognition, it was a stellar 2 weeks again for the police department. Chief Butler received a thank you note for good works by Sergeant Newman and Corporal Oakes from a citizen who had a lift assist. And Police Officer Dennis generated a telephone thank you call from a Satellite Beach resident regarding how Officer Dennis handled a traffic court issue, and that Officer Dennis was not only a good ambassador for our city, but he was a role model for law enforcement in helping explain to the resident how the process worked. Lastly, police detectives Adams, Claremont, and Officer Reynolds were acknowledged through a thank you note Chief Butler received for their time in dealing with a fraud investigation. The next council meeting promises to be a jam-packed one with a requested proclamation, 2 award of contracts, 2nd public hearings, 2nd readings on the budget amendment dune protection ordinance, assuming they are approved on 1st reading tonight, and planned 1st reading of the waste management franchise agreement extension, adoption of the stormwater utility assessment rate for mail out to property owners, and the annual MOU for the funding of the school resource officers. I will call your attention to an upcoming event. The city is planning on having a 70th anniversary gathering on Friday, June 6th from 4 to 6 in Gleason Park. Right now it's planned with food trucks, bounce houses, face painting, mini birthday cupcakes, water, and popcorn, with possibly more additions. So come on out on June 6th for a couple hours of fun. Staff is already working on a huge gala celebration for our 75th anniversary in 5 years. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Next is City Attorney's report. Carl, are you out there?
I have nothing to report on tonight.
Okay, thank you. Next is council comments. We'll start with Deputy Mayor Gurton.
Well, Southeast Coalition meeting, and really not too much went on down there. And also attended the Space Coast League of Cities. And co-host Adam was there, and of course Scott was there. And basically dealt with the changes happening more in the Rockledge area with the hospital changes. which filters into different hospitals within the area.
Councilmember Nutt. Member Romy.
Couple of things, just that, let's see. We rescheduled the beach cleanup and the unveiling of the stations to June 14th. The county is going to be there in waste management, so I think that's going to go off great. Since I see Annie and Neil from the tree board here, I want to tell you that on Flotilla, there's a championship sign, and the neighbors were crowded around it looking at the oak tree and all that. So some success there. And also to Chief Butler, how great he is with this police department, because my kids were going to Gleason to play, and Officer Dennis said, "Don't you want a football?" And he stopped and gave them a football. And he said, bring it back the next day at 2. And they did, and that was that. And I thought this is such a great place to live when something like that happens. So thank you. And that's it.
Councilmember Dyer.
I also attended the Space Coast League of Cities, and part of the board of directors. Every year they do a scholarship towards college, current high school going into college, and current college students. And right now there's low participation, so I told them I'd give them a plug. Anybody out there online, feel free to go to the Space Coast League of Cities website, apply. I know the date says today, but they pushed it back to Friday, or you can reach out to the city and we can get you in the right direction. If you know any students, spread the word. Free money. So, and the second thing is I've been getting a lot of requests from residents and about, the low-speed vehicles, where's the city see them, where they want to, see them going forward. I've gotten multiple requests from residents. I believe, requests from the police department trying to seek, clear guidance on how the city wants to move forward with these low-speed vehicles. So I think it's about time we schedule a workshop in the near future, not the immediate future, maybe possibly 2 months out. Give all the residents plenty of time to get the word out, and they can come up and voice their concerns and opinions, and also make sure all of our ducks are in a row with the attorney, and we can get a good pool of what the surrounding cities and the county does with their low-speed vehicles. So I'd like to address that in the future.
Okay. All right. Next is public comments on agenda items only. There's another public comments section at the end of the meeting. But if you want to comment on something that's on the agenda, then please step forward, state your name and address. Seeing none, move on to new business. Item number 6, Satellite Beach Fire Department Automatic Aid Agreement. This is to consider authorizing the city manager to execute the proposed interlocal agreement with the city of Satellite Beach for automatic aid for fire protection and rescue services. City Manager Coffey.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. In February of this year, the city entered into an automatic aid agreement with the town of Melbourne Beach. This proposed agreement with Satellite Beach is identical to that. Our employee of the year is in the audience if you have any specific questions. Otherwise, staff recommends the city council authorize me to execute the proposed interlocal agreement with the city of Satellite Beach.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone on council have any questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion. From somebody.
I make a motion to authorize the city manager to execute the proposed interlocal agreement with the city of Satellite Beach. Oh, sorry. Can't read it. The city of Satellite Beach regarding automatic aid for fire protection and rescue services.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Romy, second by Councilmember Dyer. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 7, first reading of ordinance number 2025-01, mid-year budget amendment. This is to consider approving on first reading ordinance number 2025-01, decreasing revenues and expenditures within the general fund. City Manager Coffey.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. On September 23rd, the City Council adopted the FY25 budget. On November 19th, the City Council amended that budget, recognizing projects that had not been incomplete and grant funding associated with those projects. Proposed ordinance number 2025-01 will decrease the general fund budget by a net of $623,652. Basically, the grant-funded projects came in considerably less than budgeted, and it also reallocates some expenses, recognizing savings in personnel savings due to vacancies in the police and public works departments, recognizes new grant funding for the City Hall baffle box and tree inventory services, and increases the Algonquin Sports Complex budget by $200,000 and puts the balance in the city manager's contingency. Staff recommends City Council approve on first reading ordinance number 2025-01, amending the budget.
Thank you. Does anyone in council have any questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve on first reading the ordinance number 2025-01, amending the budget.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Dyer, second by Councilmember Romey. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 8, first reading of ordinance number 2025-02, which is dune protection. This is to consider approving on first reading ordinance number 2025-02, establishing protections for coastal beach dunes and enforcement for noncompliance. City Manager Coffey.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. In response to the recent renourishment on our beaches and residents' requests, on March 25th, the City Council directed staff to draft an ordinance protecting the dunes and enabling local enforcement. While there are state codes and statutes, they're not easy to enforce. This proposed ordinance would codify prohibited activities and contain an enforcement mechanism similar to the smoking in the parks, noise, where the police officers have the ability to write a citation. Staff recommends City Council approve first reading of ordinance 2025-02, establishing protections for coastal beach dunes and enforcement for noncompliance.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone on council have any questions or comments? Motion?
I make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 2025-02, establishing protections for coastal beach dunes and enforcement for noncompliance.
Second. A motion by Councilmember. Yes, sir. Did not. It is. Sorry about that. I did not. I was reading straight from the agenda. I did not. Then we'll go back. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so I will read the ordinance into the record now. Ordinance number 2025-02, an ordinance of the City of Indian Harbor Beach, Brevard County, Florida, relating to the protection of coastal sand dunes, establishing prohibited activities on dunes, providing for a citation for violations, providing for a fine schedule and hearing process, providing for severability, repeal, codification, and an effective date. And I will go ahead and request a motion again on that.
Make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 2025-02, establishing protections for coastal beach dunes and enforcement for noncompliance.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Romy, second by Councilmember Nutt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, now we're going to reverse and go back to item number 7. I will read that ordinance into the record. So, fine.
Now, Carl, while he's looking, do I need to amend my original motion or just remake the motion?
Right.
Got it.
Okay, so I'll read ordinance number 2025-01, an ordinance amending budget ordinance number 2024-06 as amended by ordinance number 2024-09 for fiscal year October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2025 by changing certain amounts shown as anticipated operating expenditures, resulting in an overall decrease of $626,652 in the general fund, providing for severability and an effective date. Now I would entertain
I'd like to make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 2025-01, amending the budget.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Dyer, second by Councilmember Romy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Carl. Good catch.
Item number 9, award of tree inventory services. This is to consider awarding a contract not to exceed $42,000 to Arbor Pro, Inc. for tree inventory services and authorize staff to transfer the required budget from the city manager's contingency account. City Manager Coffey.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. In early 2024, the City Council adopted ordinance number 2023-11, creating a tree preservation ordinance, which includes a tree preservation board. One of the responsibilities of said board is to develop and annually update a tree management plan for the city. To facilitate the creation of the plan, staff applied for grant funding to conduct a tree inventory on public property. Earlier this year, we received notice of an award. Staff subsequently issued a request for proposal as advertised in accordance with the city charter. 4 proposals were received and ranked by the evaluation committee. Of note, Chen Moore and Associates was the highest ranked by the evaluation committee. The evaluation committee, all 3 members independently came to the same conclusion that the person who wrote the RFP based on the construction services, namely myself, did not pick the best evaluation criteria for a service. Basically, I used a construction RFP and tried to get it out quickly. It was the committee's unanimous belief that Arbor Pro, the second highest ranked firm, best clearly meets the needs of the city. I vetted through City Attorney Bone that the City Council is not obligated to award contract to the highest ranked committee by the evaluation committee. Therefore, sufficient funding is available in the city manager's contingency account to cover the project. This is one of those projects that the vendor believes they'll start in late June. So we will get the project completed this year, but we won't get our reimbursement till next year. Just want to get that out there because, some things don't play well with fiscal year calendars. Therefore, staff recommends City Council award a contract not to exceed $42,000 to Arbor Pro, Inc. for tree inventory services on city property and authorize staff to transfer the required budget from contingency.
Thank you. Does anyone in council have any questions?
Yes. Can you explain to me the criteria that you said as far as vetting? You use the RFP for basically for contractors normally.
Yeah. On a RFP for a construction project like the baffle box outside City Hall, you have construction plans, and the ultimate contract is wrote based on those construction plans. And the proposals basically say, yes, we will do the work per the construction plans. Here's our cost, and here's our qualifications and experience. When you have a project like this, you don't have detailed equivalent of construction plans. And so
We don't have a guideline right now for this particular type of work that we're requesting.
we had a guideline, but we didn't have a nuts to bolt how to do the project. So the criteria that the evaluation committee was bound to rank on was based on qualifications, experience, and cost. There was no, in my opinion, if I had to do it over again, qualifications and experience would be a minority ranking, meets the needs of the city would be the majority ranking, and cost would be a close second in proximity of importance. The alternative is you could put this back out for bid. I don't think things would really change substantially if you put this back out.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to award a contract not to exceed $42,000 to Arbor Pro, Inc. for tree inventory services, and authorize staff to transfer the required budget from the city manager's contingency account.
Second.
I have a motion by Deputy Mayor Gurton, a second by Councilmember Nutt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 10, resolution number 762, providing signatory authority for the city of Indian Harbor Beach with banking institutions. This is to consider approving resolution number 762, authorizing certain city officials as signers on the city's banking institution accounts for the city of Indian Harbor Beach. City Manager Coffey.
With the change in the comptroller position, adoption of this resolution is needed to allow our new comptroller signing authority and access to our accounts with Truist Bank. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Anyone on council have any questions? Read the title again. It's not on my agenda sheet. You're in trouble.
Yeah, it's not in here.
Find it in a second. I know. She's making me work with this.
Is it the providing signatory authority for the city of Indian Harbor
No,
Beach?
it's a whole. It's the actual.
There's technically no.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. So this is a fairly typical situation change the format or anything. Says staff recommendation. Signers on the city's banking institution accounts with City of Indian Harbor Beach.
Okay. Thank you, Carl.
We want to go on?
Yep, we'll go on.
Okay, we're ready for a motion?
We are.
Okay, motion to approve resolution number 762, authorizing certain city officials as signers on the city's banking institution accounts for the city of Indian Harbor Beach.
Second.
A motion by Deputy Mayor Gurton, second by Councilmember Dyer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
We don't need that.
Now we are on to public forum. I do have some speaker cards here. When I call your name, please come up, state your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes to speak about whatever's on your mind. Hope I got the pronunciation right on this. Mary Gall, is that right? Sure.
What's she doing? She backing out?
I got you. So for the good of the order, Doug Cook, are you number one, Doug?
No, he's two.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. What number are you? You're 3. Okay, so you're 3. You're second. All right, Kristen Mason, you're number 1.
Who is on first?
Sometimes.
We've never had this before.
I know. Step up to the.
Kristen Mason, 202 Harbor Drive West. In the past, I have spoken with Chief Butler, who has kindly represented my traffic concerns for the intersection of Harbor Drive West and Bay Drive East. Chief Butler wrote in his most recent letter after speaking with the council that there was to be a new stop sign, which we have seen become installed where there was previously a yield. I think that's a positive change for motorist safety traveling from this direction. However, I believe that it does not completely solve the problem of increased volume of traffic traveling from Bay Drive North, Bay Drive East to Burns Boulevard, and conversely, most specifically in the hours of 4 to 6 p.m. on most weekdays, as you would imagine. I presented a request for speed bumps along Bay Drive East either 1 or 2 years ago, again, which Chief Butler kindly communicated for me. However, I wanted to come and personally speak about now the idea of perhaps a 3-way stop sign to help slow and maybe deter some of the higher volume of traffic, which last year's study evidenced. So I would like to resubmit that to the council personally. I also traveled the neighborhood, specifically this area along here. All of these streets, there are 40 plus homes that access Gleason Park from the north and therefore need to cross Bay Drive East to access the park. In the petition that I have signed, I have 18 families with 19 children who are passing this way, sometimes daily. I myself have 3 young children aged 4, 2, and 10 months. And I can tell you that just along this corner in particular, there are 13 young children under the age of 8, about 8 years old. So there's lots of pedestrian traffic, lots of child traffic patterns to get to the park. So I would like to resubmit that proposition, and I have it written out here along with the petition.
Okay.
Can I answer any questions, or that's all that I would like to
So
say?
you're proposing potentially a 3-way stop.
Correct.
At Harbor Drive East, or Bay Drive East, sorry.
And Harbor Drive West. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anytime we consider installing a stop sign, we have to do a study before we can do it. It has to be justified. We can't just do it because we want to slow people down.
Of course.
It's not something we can do randomly.
Of course.
So it's just, I'm going to be perfectly honest and upfront with my thoughts on it is that's very close to the Burns Boulevard stop sign. If there's a chance for something to have a positive result, I guess it would be in your all's eyes, as far as installing some sort of traffic control in the form of a stop sign, it might be a better shot at getting one at the Burns Boulevard intersection, a 3-way there.
I would also be receptive to that, because what I don't show here is the continuation of Bay Drive East along the curve. That entire section is uninterrupted.
I say that is Drive West and Burns Boulevard. So you've got, if you're coming from Bay Drive, the left.
Traveling,
Bay
yes.
Drive, stop sign, then you're going to make a left and you're going to travel 2 lots and another stop sign, you know.
And over here, currently, there is no stop sign. So the only there is no east-west traveling stop sign at the moment. So what we're seeing regularly out in our driveways and the traffic towers are cars coming around here, rolling through the stop sign, accelerating around this curve and along this stretch, and then here they're making a right turn. They don't have to stop. So they're continuing to go and unstopped all the way to O'Galley down here.
And yeah, and no promises at all. I mean, I'm just from the standpoint of the odds of having those numbers work in your favor for a stop sign. I doubt very seriously it's going to work where you're talking about doing it. Better chance over at Burns Boulevard to do a 3-way
and
stop.
we'd be receptive to that too. And I understand it's a process too with many steps. It could take a considerable amount of time. Yeah. Maybe in the meantime, could we maybe entertain the idea of a painted crosswalk with a caution pedestrian crossing sign somewhere along this stretch, just to facilitate all of these families who are crossing the street to access the park over here on the south side of the street?
I mean, I think that's something we can look into. It's the first time we've heard that. It's something worth looking into, at least, anyway.
I imagine that'd be much simpler.
Pedestrian crossing makes more sense to me than speed bumps. I would go for something like that. Anything to alert
and one of
drivers.
One of the challenges with speed humps is that they don't do much to slow you down. If you were to travel over to, was it Pineapple Street?
You can still go 20, 25 miles, which is the speed limit.
And it doesn't, I mean, you can go in my car, no problem.
Right.
And that's just the nature of the design of those.
Right.
And I think that was to achieve a balance between, cars and then emergency responders.
Sure. And at the end of the day, the study 2 years or 1 year ago showed that there was evidenced increased volume of cars showing that it's a cut through. So perhaps a stop sign might help deter some of that volume since it is a residential park accessing neighborhood. It's not O'Galley.
We be safe.
Of course. So maybe I would love consideration for a crosswalk, a marked crosswalk, while we're entertaining other interventions. I've got a paintbrush. I'm just
That's my question as well. I agree that some needs to be done.
Of course.
About it.
Absolutely.
You typically don't consider mid-block crossing. You don't typically have to do a study for that. It gets a little different if you start talking about the flashing yellow and the raised platform.
But a yellow caution sign.
But I've seen plenty of crosswalks installed. The company I work for, we've designed a number of mid-block crosswalks over the years. And it's the city, whoever it might be, our client saying, okay, we wanted to hire you guys to design a mid-block crossing here with the appropriate advance warning signs and so on. So I don't think that gets as involved as doing a stop sign. Because we're not asking anybody to stop.
Right. Just maybe give people a conscience while we're, again, looking at other interventions.
Ms. Mason, I'm on there all the time with my kids. I just am curious, is the bigger issue the speed or the volume of the cars?
So the volume is concerning, but we do habitually notice inappropriate acceleration and speeds along that route.
Okay.
And part of the issue is when you're coming on Bay Drive North, I get them mixed up, sorry.
Yep.
The one on the left of that diagram, when you're heading south when you hit that stop sign, there's nothing. The chances of anything coming from your right-hand side is
very few.
There's a couple of homes there, and that's it. So people just they treat it like a yield.
Exactly. Yes.
So, and that's been going on for years.
And then there's the acceleration, and sometimes it is very egregious. And obviously, it only takes one time to be very, very, very terrible. So,
Mayor, can you explain to me why in a study that it wouldn't be permissible to have it on the Harbor and Bay Drive, having a three-way there? What would the study actually reveal to us that we couldn't do that?
Look, this is going to be for a traffic engineer to perform the study, but in my experience with this, when you start talking about proximity to another stop sign, another stop intersection, that becomes the part of the problem. It's not just a singular criteria that they look at, but it's so close to the Burns Boulevard intersection.
I think rather than the proximity to Burns Boulevard, it's probably more that one, but there is, a good, distance. But the traffic pattern is definitely established that people are commonly taking advantage of the not needing to stop for right turn access.
Monitoring the traffic that's going through there and the speeding and everything else.
Right. Well, the 18 families on there would be very interested in that process. Thank you very much.
Question, Chief, what kind of feedback have you gotten in that area with speed?
Typically what we do is, I think I've explained this.
Speed or volume or what?
I'll put the rate board back out there. We can do it. If you recall, some of that study that we did and some of the concern for the community, we actually changed this. Like be very
And if I'm just throwing out potential solutions to this or things to mitigate this. If the Warren study doesn't determine that an additional stop sign or a three-way is warranted at Burns Boulevard, then there is the potential for doing other types of traffic calming you can do. You can do a raised crosswalk at that location. And it's not, it's like, it's this high. It just slows people down a bit. We just finished a project for the city of Melbourne over on University Boulevard. That's exactly what was built, was a raised pedestrian crosswalk. It had the flashing lights and all, but that's a much higher volume roadway than this is. But it's something else to look at potentially.
Cocoa Beach just implemented something just like that as a raised crosswalk. And I'll tell you right now, it is a significant difference in reduction in speed with that alone. And it does help quite a bit.
Yep. There's options here. So we'll look into this. Okay. I mean, I think it's.
I like the raised crosswalk.
I think we need to have a study instead of just picking out what we like.
So look at hiring a traffic consultant to do a warrant study for stop signs, recommendations for potential placement if it's warranted, and then other traffic calming types of recommendations, such as the raised crosswalk at that intersection location. Are you good with that? All right.
Consensus?
Good job.
All right, number 2, you're up. Mayor Gall.
They'll have to speak to cases.
You can come up to speak. That's fine. Please state your name and address, and you'll have 3.
The study was already done. The study.
State your name.
I'm sorry, Mary Gall from 206 Harbor Drive West. So I live just 2 houses down from this intersection. We appreciate everything you guys have already done. Very open to our comments, but the the study was already done last year, and we talked about it a lot because right where the radar board was, there was a white pickup that commonly parks right in front of it. So we actually are pretty convinced that that study was like underreported, and still the study's results showed that there was increased traffic. So I don't want to wait another year for a study to do something. So I appreciate all the other ideas that you guys had. But I do think the study was over a year ago, definitely underreported, and we shouldn't have to wait to do more.
Chief, I believe that was work that you had done with your reader board. Yeah, well, we're talking about a formal traffic study. We can't, with all due respect to the chief, we can't just say, chief's going to determine this. We can't do that.
Okay.
We have been in the position in the past one time that I can recall where we did it, same kind of scenario where we went and installed a stop sign. We thought it was okay to do that. And one of the residents of the neighborhood called us on it and said, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
You have to have a traffic study. The traffic study done, we had to pull the stop sign.
What is the timeline for a temporary measure? Like, what are you guys mentioned that we probably put in a painted stop walk or crosswalk, and we could probably put in a raised one. What are the timelines for those? Like, when can we follow up or expect to see something?
Well, I was trying to couple the study actually shouldn't take that long to do. It's a matter of hiring a consultant to do the study. This is not a massive amount of work to do for a traffic engineer. So it shouldn't take that long. I would imagine that if we were to hire a traffic engineer to do the study, between proposal and authorizing them, you're probably looking at a 60 to 90 day turnaround time, roughly, or something like that.
And is there nothing we can do with
what I've seen?
Yeah, well, it sounded like the not study took a year, so I'm just trying to like understand.
All I can tell you is what a typical traffic consultant.
Okay.
The timeline I've seen, something like this. It's not that long. It's a relatively short report. They do traffic counts, patterns, the pedestrian counts. There's a number of things that they do.
Yeah,
they know way more than I do about this stuff, and they're the experts.
Yeah,
so,
supportive of that. Just it's already been a while, so I just wanted to understand, like, if we can get a crosswalk painted, is there any, like, do you guys make that decision and it gets done, or is there like other?
I think that we want to have the study done prior to doing any type of mitigation in order to get the most out of the study.
Couple this with not only a stop sign warning, but do we need traffic calming, such as a raised crosswalk? Opposed to just, we want to do things twice. We don't want to put in the crosswalk and the signage for it and everything else, and then have to redo things and change things to build up and do the raised crosswalk. That's a little more involved. It's not as simple as it seems to do one. Aspects to it and whatnot, detail, but it's more than just painting something.
Yeah, totally understand. I just wanted to get sort of a commitment that we can look into something quickly. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Number 3, Doug Cook.
Number 3. Say the best for last, right? Doug Cook, 201 Harbor Drive West. Mayor, council members, appreciate you listening to us. Frank Gerton and I worked together, coached together for many years at Satellite High School. So it's good to see Frank.
I'm not going to be able to vote.
Well, this whole thing it's about people speeding through there, okay? And it's about the little ones. They have little ones. Kristen, after I retired from Satellite, I became her babysitter. So she's got little ones, and I know moms up here. Moms, we have to protect the kids. I know we need to do studies and all this other stuff. I understand that. I know Chief Butler's doing a great job, but something has to be done. I've been in this house. I'm right on the corner where the palm trees are. I don't know if you've seen those. Right there on Bay Drive and Harbor Drive West, right there. I've been there 23 years. I raised 3 kids in that house. And over the years, I've seen more traffic come through there. Now, when I leave Patrick Air Force Base Golf Course, which I playing 3 or 4 times a week, I hit traffic. I know you know that, Chief. Traffic on South Patrick is backed up. So what people are doing, they're cutting through Country Club. They're cutting through east on Country Club and going Bay Drive and then Bay Drive East and then Burns. And they're coming the other way as well. So we're getting traffic both ways, you know, and people are speeding through there. Last night, there was a motorcycle that went through there. I was walking around the side of my house, put the garbage can out. And this guy, I mean, you know, young kid on a motorcycle just screaming through there. I couldn't get his tag number, of course. Couldn't see. He was too fast, and I'm too old to see it. But we are very concerned about it. And I think a 3-way stop at Harbor Drive West and Bay Drive East would solve the whole problem. I mean, people coming off of Bay Drive North going toward Burns, you know, the speed limit is 20. And a lot of the people that are cutting through there they don't live in our general area. You know, they're just cutting through to go home. You know, I'd probably do the same thing, but I would definitely watch out for little ones, you know. But that's my concern. You know, as a grandfather, grandparent, I'm concerned about the little ones, especially Christian's kids. She's right across the street from me, and they got friends across from her, across from Bay Drive East. And if they get loose, we know how that happens. If they get loose and run across the street, that's my only concern. And hopefully the board can do something about this, and we appreciate your time tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next is Platt Loftus. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again as well. It was a good dinner last night.
Yes, it was.
Hi, Mayor, council members, staff. My name is Platt Loftus. I'm the Government Affairs Director with Waste Pro Florida. Here in Central Florida, I'm here with our Division Manager, Dean Ulrich. He is our local Brevard County Division Manager for Solid Waste. The reason I'm here tonight is to express an interest in this city's solid waste business. From what I understand, I think the city's coming to the end of their current solid waste agreement. I'm not really sure what the current status is, if the city's renegotiating or what, but if negotiations fall apart or if the city feels like they need to go out to bid, we would be more than happy to submit a proposal for the city. We've been here in Brevard County for just over 23 years. We've got 6 of your sister municipalities that we service, from Cape Canaveral all the way down to Malabar, some that we've been servicing well over 10 years with very, very good results. We've had some bumps here and there, but overall we have very, very good consistent service. And please don't rely on my word. I would recommend you to reach out to our contracts to see what kind of company we are. So Dean runs a very tight shop. We also service the 3 bases here in Brevard County. My company's family run, family owned. We're now in our 2nd generation. We're located in Seminole County corporate headquarters. So we're a Florida-based company. And again, we're on our 2nd generation of ownership. And the man that owns our company happens to be a recognized expert in North America for solid waste. Got to get my continents right. But, is there any questions or anything that you'd like to find out or ask?
Any questions, council?
Okay, I think I've covered it all. Again, I don't know what the current status is. I just would like to express an interest in the solid waste contract if it were to go out to bid. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay. So for public forum, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Gerton. I'm going to give the second to Councilmember Romy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Please put same sign.
Good job, man.
Carried.
All right, cool.